We upload every single day. Oh, I think you can finally hear me. What's going on, everybody? My name is Jeff Lights Jr. here with the Black Balls channel and Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload every single day. Now, I know some of you all are tuned in today to see if I have this big news that was told to me that was going to come out this week. Unfortunately, I do not have that big news. That big news was not told to me. It has not come out yet. But I am told that it is still coming out. There's still some back end stuff that needs to be taken care of as far as the Grambling football program. So if you're here to hear the big news, I'm telling you right now, Sean Ford, Kay Howard, there is none to deliver. We're just going to be talking about some other stuff that's taking place with Grambling football and Coach Hue Jackson. If you guys don't know, Coach Hue Jackson is going crazy. And I mean, quite literally crazy on the recruiting trail. Hue Jackson has just been ranking in recruit after recruit after recruit after recruit. And he is rebuilding that Grambling State football program from the bottom up. And he really is putting together a competent, really well-rounded football team. He's gotten everything from his quarterback all the way down to defensive linemen and offensive linemen, the big uglies in the trenches. And I'm just going to take a quick thing to talk about what's going on. I also wanted to come on here and let you know that a Grambling player will be featured on the pivot. Yes, that is right. A recruit, Tyson Bordeaux, out of Long Beach Poly, California. He is going to be on the new podcast show, The Pivot, hosted by Channing Crowder and Ryan Clark and Fred Taylor. So let me go ahead and share with you. First of all, let me pull that up. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, guys. Thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. Let me go to Tyson's father. This is Tyson's father's Twitter page. And dang, I think I clicked the wrong thing. Yes. So this is the tweet that was sent out today by Tyson's father of them on set. Quiet on set, quiet on set. And yes, I did interview Tyson. This is Tyson on the set. There's Fred over there. This is RC, Ryan Clark, Channing Crowder. Do I know what they talked about? No. It probably has something to do with HBCUs. It probably has something to do with the fact that Tyson is going from Long Beach out there in Southern California and going all the way down to freaking Louisiana to play college football. And also on the set, you see him getting mic'd up. Also on the set for a special guest was Ricky Williams. Ricky Williams, the former #1 overall pick in the NFL. Ricky Williams, the Heisman Trophy winner at the University of Texas. Ricky Williams, the former All-Pro Pro Bowler running back for the Miami Dolphins. That Ricky Williams was also there. There's Tyson on the left. There's his father on the right. And there's Ricky splat dab in the middle. So this was the quote from the caption put up by the Bordeaux boys Twitter account. This is Tyson's father, Mr. Derek Bordeaux. Very nice man. He says, yesterday, our son's efforts put me in the presence of greatness of the Pivot podcast with Channing Crowder, Ryan Clark, Fred Taylor, and Heisman winner and #1 NFL draft pick, Ricky Williams. Thank you again, son, for taking me places. So why is this important? Why does any of this matter? Why does Tyson being on the Pivot matter? It matters because of you guys, right? Because of you all. And yes, Kay Howard, I did interview Tyson. Tyson's been on this platform before. Tyson's a really good kid. And he's got some really talented family members, his brothers, Titus. No, he's got like 3 brothers. They're all super uber talented. But why does this matter? This matters because the change is taking place. Do you hear what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? The change is taking place, and it's not just taking place at Jackson State. Obviously, Jackson State coach prime Deion Sanders dominates the headlines. Obviously, he's going to do that. He's prime time. He's Deion. He pulled in the #1 overall recruit. He pulled in another top 50 recruit. He's got, cameras from Barstool to his own cameras, Pepsi, Under Armour, all these deals. So, of course, he's going to garner a lot of attention. That is expected. That's not a surprise. But the others, what some would call the other SWAC schools, are also garnering that attention, are also having a wide reach, are also doing their own thing in their own way. Obviously, they can't do it like Prime Time. They're not Deion Sanders. They're not Coach Prime. They're not doing it his way. but they're doing it their own way, and they're getting their own exposure, and they're able to stretch and reach out their boundaries. Coach Hue Jackson has a West Coast pipeline right now to Grambling. Who would have thought that was a thing? Who would have thought there would be a West Coast pipeline? Let me know in the chat if this time a year ago, as recently as a year ago, you would have thought the G-Man of Grambling would have had a pipeline to Southern California. You would have thought Grambling would have had a pipeline to Southern California, where one of the hottest podcasts in the country, the Pivot Podcast, would be out interviewing a Grambling State football recruit. I want to show you why this matters. So let's actually take a look at why the Pivot Podcast. First of all, shout out to Ryan Clark, Channing Crowder, and Fred Taylor. They broke away from I Am Athlete. They doing their own thing, and they have, like I said, one of the hottest podcasts. This is why this is going to be big. Let me show you why the Pivot's going to be big. First of all, the Pivot Podcast has almost 100,000 subscribers. Channing, they told me that Tyson's episode will air on February 2nd, so it's got a little bit of time. And by the time his episode airs, there'll be well over 100,000 subscribers. I'm fairly confident of that. But look at the views. 64,000, 273,000. Oh, I didn't mean to click. Didn't mean to click. Whoa.
Playboy.
Did not mean to click that. Whoa. Let's stop sharing. I got too excited. But I want to show you this because I want to show you how many people around the world are going to be able to see this young man and hear from him and hear the name Grambling. They're going to be able to see this young man, hear from this young man, and hear the name Grambling on that podcast. Why does that matter? Well, it matters significantly because that also continues to expand the reach. That also continues to introduce people who may not have been introduced to Grambling State, whether it was back when Eddie Robinson, or reinvigorate people that know about the Grambling brand, that have just have slept on the Grambling brand for a number of years. Let me look up the Pivot Podcast. Let me make sure, and I'm going to tell you, like I said, the significance. So I want to look at their views one more time. So let me try this again. Hopefully I don't screw this up this time. You guys are laughing at me. Hopefully I don't mess this up this time. Let's try this again. So we're looking at, like I said, Tyson's episode on the Pivot will air on February 2nd, from what I've been told. We're looking at the views. We're looking at 64,207. And this one was only come out 6 hours ago. 273,000, 440,000, 337,000, 804,000, and 875. So we're looking at his episode of the Pivot Podcast that he's going to be featured on. It's going to get no less. Is it safe to say? Make sure no less than 200,000 views, right? That's on the low end. Like this, if we super low ball it, it's going to get no less than 200,000 views. So that means 200,000 people potentially. That's on the low end. Is going to be introduced, because he's going to talk about Grambling. He's going to talk about Coach Hue. He's going to talk about the same things he spoke about on my show. The interesting dynamic on how he was even introduced to Coach Hue. Tyson actually reached out to Hue Jackson to get recruited. Tyson sent Hue Jackson a DM. He sent Hue Jackson a DM saying, "Hey, I heard you're Hue Jackson. I heard you're coming to Grambling. I want to play for an HBCU. Check out my tape. I think I could help your team. I think I can help your recruiting class. I think I can help. I think I'll like what you're about to do down there." And Tyson was one of the early recruits. He was one of those 5 Christmas Day commits, 5 or 6 Christmas Day commits. He committed to Grambling on Christmas Day. And so I'm sure he's going to tell that interesting story. I'm sure, because they're going to ask him, because from what I understand, the Pivot is shooting a lot of episodes out on the West Coast, and they're going to ask him, like, "Yo, how in the world?" Because y'all know Channing can be a hypocrite. Y'all know Channing a hater of the HBCUs. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments you understand that Channing Crowder has been a hater of HBCUs. We know he has been very highly critical when he was on I Am Athlete and Coach Prime came on I Am Athlete. He was the one to say, like, "Yo, I don't know if this HBU thing is the thing. I went to Florida. I know how we do it in Florida, and I don't think you can do it at Jackson State like how we did it in Florida." So he's going to challenge Tyson. And that's why I'm interested to see how that works out. because he is going to challenge Tyson. He's going to hit Tyson with some challenging questions, with some pushback on the movement that you all created. Let's not undermine you. You all are the reason why this is a thing. You all are a reason why he's going on the pivot. You all are the reason why the HBCU is such a hot take. Why it's so spicy, why it's such a hot topic, why it's such a great thing to talk about, why it's such a big deal. You all have made it a big deal. So don't ever get it twisted. You all have made it a big deal. And Channing, who is not a fan as of yet, he's like subtly, because he did apologize to Prime, and then he gave him an apology, and then he kind of, smeared his apology by bashing Coach Prime and bashing the HBCU movement and bashing, basically saying it still ain't worth nothing. So, but be on the lookout. February 2nd, Tyson Bordeaux will be on the Pivot Podcast. February 2nd, Tyson Bordeaux will be on the Pivot Podcast. Like I said, this podcast has almost 100,000. By the time Tyson's on there, it'll be well over 100,000. And we're looking at a minimum at 6 hours. The last video was posted 6 hours ago. It's got 64,000 at minimum. Tyson, and the one from 3 days ago is at 273. So is it fair to say he's going to get low end 200,000, high end probably a 300,000 or 400,000 view video? 3 or potentially 400,000 people can be introduced or reintroduced to the Grambling brand. Think about what that's going to do for Grambling State. Think about what that's going to do for the SWAC. Think about what that's going to do for HBCUs in general. That is huge. So I had to put that news out there. I had to let you guys know, because that is going to, you're right, Hezekiah, it's going to be great exposure. Great exposure. A lot of these young men, a lot of these people, they aren't choosing HBCUs, not because they don't like HBCUs, not because they don't like black people. It's not because they don't want to hang or be or play for their people. They just don't know about it. Tyson, when he came on my show, and then I'll leave this alone. Tyson, when he came on my show, once again, he's a West Coast kid. I posted this. I want to show this. I posted this thing on my YouTube. My YouTube is Jeff Lighty Jr., by the way. On my YouTube channel, I posted this image of all the HBCUs in the country. There was this image that I posted on my YouTube. My YouTube is Jeff Lighty Jr., by the way. Hit the thumbs up button, guys. We're in here. Shout out to you guys. We're in here with a lot of people. I posted this image on of HBCUs across the country. Different historically black colleges. I know it's probably kind of blurry, but look at all the states. I mean, we got Texas covered, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Missouri, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Pennsylvania. You're up there in Delaware. You're up there, up in the Northeast. But look where it stops. It stops right there in Texas. So that means from Texas, outside of Texas West, there are no historically black colleges and universities. There are no historically black colleges and universities. Shout out to my guy CFL. Shout out to CFL. So that means a guy like Tyson, who lives in Southern California, the kids out. And it's not just the state of California. West of Texas, they don't have HBCUs. There's a whole lot of states west of Texas. Now, somebody's telling me there's one in Cali. I heard about that. I heard it's a medical institute from what I've been told. I heard there's a medical institute, so that's not technically like an undergrad. This is at least what I've heard. I don't know how true it is. But west of Texas, you can't go to a historically black college or university. So why is that important? Because folks that live west of Texas, if you're not hip, if you're not up on game, if you don't have a relative or whatever that went to one of these schools on this map that I'm showing you right now, you don't know much about historically colleges and universities. You don't know much about HBCUs. So therefore, Tyson, being a kid from California, being from a state west of Texas, can shine a light on the HBCUs for all the young men and young women who live west of Texas that could potentially be interested in going to an HBCU. That's why him being on the Pivot podcast is big. It's not just big, it's huge for Grambling. Don't get it twisted. It's a huge exposure for Grambling State, for Grambling. But it's also big for everybody else. It is also big for everyone else. So I had to make sure I spotlighted that. Tyson is a great kid, and I know he's going to kill it. He's going to kill it on there. He's going to, G-men and G-women, he is going to represent Grambling, even though he's not even on campus yet. But he is a commit. He's signed. He's going to represent Grambling very, very well. So I am looking forward to doing that. But we're here today, like I said, to talk about the recruiting that's going on with the G-men. Now, Coach Prime, like I said, Deion Sanders, Jackson State, they get a lot of the buzz because they're the big splashy school. They make big splashes in the recruiting trail. They go out and get the Travis Hunters. They go out and get the Kevin Colemans, and they go out and get the Shador Sanders and all these power. But don't sleep on the G-men. If you do not, you need to follow Grambling Football on Twitter. And if you have those notifications on, you are going to get several notifications daily because Grambling Football is on a roll right now. Do you hear me? They are on a roll. Let's just scroll down. First of all, this young man, Myron Green, the number two defensive tackle in all of JUCO, he's going to Grambling. Let's continue to scroll. Devin Bush, an Arkansas transfer, a former four-star who was originally committed to Southern, by the way. Bayou Classic rivalry right now. He's flipped from Southern. We had Jatiri Carter on our show, by the way. Be sure to go check that out. Jatiri Carter, who's going to play in the Reese's Senior Bowl, who was on our show recently. Be sure to go check out my interview with Jatiri Carter. I think he's going to do great. I think he's going to do great in the NFL as well. But Devin was going to go play for Jatiri's alma mater. He flipped, and now he's going to Grambling. Let me show you what type of prospect this young man is. So this young man, Devin Bush, is a big deal. One, he's an SEC transfer. Anytime you get transfers from the SEC, that's always a big deal. Two, the young man can play some football. This is his 247. He's 6 foot, 200 pounds, and he was a former four-star, the 260th player in the country. He's also from where? New Orleans. So he's one of your own down there from the boot, down there in the Bayou land, is coming back home because he went to Edna Carr High School, I understand, from New Orleans, Edna Carr, yeah. And he's coming back home to play for Coach Hue and Grambling. So that is also a big deal. If we continue to scroll down, now, once again, if you're joining me late, I said I do not have the announcement. I was told there was an announcement coming out from Hue Jackson this week, from the Grambling football team this week, and they have told me the announcement is still not out, but it is coming. So that's all I can give you because that's all I've been told. I can only tell you what I've been told, but that is it. Let's continue looking on this Grambling page. Now, this is one of the funnier photos I've seen. You guys know those 360 cameras? Well, this was Coach Hue. Seeing all those recruits coming down to Grambling, coming down to what y'all call it, exit 81. Coming down exit 81, coming off exit 81. This was Coach Hue. This is how he's looking. After every week, every day he's getting a new recruit. Every day he's getting a new commit. Exit 81, that's how he's looking. That's how he's coming. The G-men. See, everybody is just trying to hand the SWAC to Jackson State. And that's understandable. They're a team that went 8-0 in the SWAC. They're a team that's coached by Deion Sanders. They're a team that returns their quarterback. They're a team that got the number one recruit in the country. And they're a team that's looking to upgrade their offensive line and upgrade their offensive philosophy. So it's easy to pick Jackson State to win the SWAC. But there's a team off exit 81 that keeps pulling in dude after dude after dude after dude. And they're coached by this man right here, just pointing at you. He's on your screen, live and direct. Let me make sure you can see him. He's on there. He's on there live and direct. And He's on there. He's working. He is working. And that is what I'm telling you. That man is pointing at you live and direct because he has got some ball players coming down exit 81. Do you hear me? They coming every day. This is another one of the top-ranked JUCO offensive linemen. Wallace Umba is also coming to Grambling. He is a G-man. He is coming. Like every single day, just go in here. Another big man, another offensive lineman. They're building that O-line up. Remember, they got their quarterback earlier in the recruiting period. They got the transfer quarterback out of UCLA. And now they're shoring up that O-line. They understand Hue Jackson. He was on off script. Hue Jackson did an interview with off script, I want to say. And in his interview with off script, he said, bigger's always better. The more big guys you get, the better your team probably is going to, you know what I'm saying? Bigger's always better in the game of football. That's how he sees it. And they've got some playmakers. Now, this young man right now isn't committed to Grambling, but he is a 4-star, and they're on him. They are on his back like crazy. You guys are on this young man's back. You guys are letting him know his name is Faison Wilson. Faison Wilson, this is his Twitter. He's a 4-star athlete. And he is, y'all letting him know. Y'all are showing him a ton of love on Twitter. Trust me, I've seen it. All these offers that are going out, Grambling is doing it. But Grambling also, this was another big defensive lineman. This was a defensive lineman. He's headed down to Grambling. Another JUCO defensive lineman. And I thought this was really cool. Today they dropped this Flashback Friday talking about Doug Williams. Let's read it together. It says, Williams attended Grambling State University, where he played under head coach Eddie Robinson. Hold on, let me make sure. Okay, make sure you guys can see that. It says, where he played under head coach Eddie Robinson, who is the first head coach to get 400 wins. We documented Eddie Robinson earlier this week. Be sure to go check that out as well. 400 wins. He doesn't get talked about enough. You know, so many SWAC championships. Also coached the basketball team for over a decade. Go check out my profile on head coach Eddie Robinson because it was amazing and I learned a bunch of stuff. And I'm sure if you don't know much about Eddie Robinson, you will learn a lot too. So let's continue reading. Played for head coach Eddie Robinson. In his first 2 seasons, he played with future NFL wide receiver Sammy White and guided the Tigers to a 36-7, a .837 whip percentage record as a 4-year starter, and led the Tigers to 3 SWAC championships. Williams was named a Black College Player of the Year twice. In 1977, Williams led the NCAA in several categories, including total yards from scrimmage, passing yards, and passing touchdowns. The young man had 38 passing touchdowns in 1977. Let's just give that up. 38 passing touchdowns in 1977. Why is that so impressive? Because you knew back then they was running the ball. They didn't want to throw the ball for real, and somehow, some way, he still ended up with 38 passing touchdowns and averaged 8 yards a play. Williams finished 4th in Heisman voting behind Earl Campbell, Terry Miller, and Ken McAfee. Williams graduated from Grambling with a bachelor's degree in education and began work on his master's degree before being drafted in the first round of the NFL in 1978 and 1988. After being in the league for 10 years, by the way, Doug Williams became the first Black starting quarterback to ever win the Super Bowl and was the first Black quarterback to be named Super Bowl MVP. Williams was named to the College Football Hall of Fame in 2001, and in 2009, Williams and fellow Grambling alum James Harris founded the Black College Hall of Fame. So shout out to Mr. Doug Williams, Grambling alum, SWAC champ, multiple-time SWAC champion, Doug Williams. So we just gotta, give the flowers where they deserve. Now, I'm saying that, and I'm showing hella love to Grambling today because this is a day we're recognizing Coach Hue. This is a day we're recognizing Grambling. This is a day we're showing the G-men who are doing work, who aren't getting enough pub, some love. But I have to say, Doug Williams was on a podcast pretty recently. G-men, look away. You're going to hate me for this. But he was on a podcast recently where he said, You know what I'm saying? If I was in high school during this time, hell, I might go play for Coach Prime too. Let's take a listen. Let's take a listen. This is from a podcast Doug Williams was on pretty recently. Let me share my screen. I uploaded this to my YouTube. My YouTube is Jeff Lighty Jr., by the way. It says Grambling. It's the MTMV Sports Podcast. This is what Doug Williams had to say.
Hue Jackson. You know, I'm not shocked because number one, Deion is probably one of the best motivational speakers that I've heard. And if you get a chance to go sit in front of your parents and listen to Deion, I don't know what if I had to turn back the hands of time, he came to my house, hell, I'd be a Jackson too.
G-Man, Grambling folk. Come on, this is honesty hour. Let me know how you feel about that. And let's be honest. How y'all feel about y'all legend, Doug Williams, saying, if we turn back the hands of time, shoot, I might have been a Jackson State too. If we turn back the hands of time, I know some of y'all saying, yo, you late on this story. Yeah, no, I posted this when it came out, but I mean, I never got the pulse of the fan base. How are we feeling after hearing that? If we turn back the hands of time, shoot, I might have been a Jackson State too. I don't know. I might feel a certain kind of way. If I was a G-man or G-woman, I might feel a certain kind of way that one of our legends, one of our very own, said he might have been a Jackson too. But nonetheless, we're here to celebrate what is taking place with Grambling, what's taking place at Jackson State, hell, what's taking place with all of the swag football. Let me read some of your comments. K. Howard says, I didn't take him seriously. I get it. There was a chuckle in there, so I could definitely understand that for sure. He said Eddie Robinson accounts for 70%. Talk to us. 70% of all of Grambling's wins. I mean, we're talking about 400 wins. The first coach, not the first black coach, not the first FCS coach or HBCU coach. We're talking about the first coach in college football history with 70 wins. How does he not get talked about enough? We always hear, and I'm included in this. I'm gonna put myself in there. We always hear about Bear Bryant. We always hear about Nick Saban, Urban Meyer. Now even like a guy like a Dabo Swinney. People love what's Kirby Smart's doing. We don't hear enough about Eddie Robinson. I'm gonna repeat that. We don't hear enough about Eddie Robinson. I'm gonna say that one more time. We do not hear enough about Eddie Robinson and his 808 wins, his 57 seasons as the head football coach of Grambling. His 57 seasons. During those 57 seasons, a number of SWAC titles, and he spent over a decade as the Grambling football coach and head basketball coach. We don't hear enough about that. It's just that simple. And we could probably guess why. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, guys. Hit the thumbs up button. Let me read some more of your comments. It says he wouldn't say that because Eddie Robinson would be winning. Oh, now that would be interesting. Steven, you bring up a good. So, okay, Gram fam, I got you guys, Gram fam. We in here. We're talking. We chopping it up. It's a Friday night. You know what I'm saying? I know some of y'all about to get out of here, whatever. But if Eddie Robinson, this is a super hypothetical, and I love this. I love these kind of things because we can never truly find out the answer. If Eddie Robinson was coaching right now in the SWAC, say he was at Grambling, we'll remove Hue, and Hue's doing a great job. Hue, you get out of here real quick. Eddie Robinson's at Grambling right now. Who would be doing a better job? If we took 5 years, we give them both a 5-year period. Eddie Robinson, Deion Sanders. Who ends up the better coach? Who has more SWAC titles? Who has more Celebration Bowl championships? Eddie Robinson or Deion Sanders? Let me see your comment. I need to see it. If Eddie Robinson was at Grambling in 2022, a prime Eddie Robinson, we talking about Eddie Robinson in the 50s and the 60s. We talking about that Eddie. You know, Coach Rob that was out there getting it on the Oldsmobile commercials. Y'all know the Oldsmobile. Somebody in my comments let me know about the Oldsmobile commercials because I didn't never see it. The Oldsmobile commercials when he had the Oldsmobile pulling up to exit 81. If Eddie Robinson was right here with Prime, come on, I just want to see what y'all got to say. Because Steven brought it up. Shout out to Steven. So let me see some of your comments. We see somebody. I see a Eddie Robinson. I see a Eddie. Dean says Eddie. Let's see. Terry says different eras. They are different eras. They are. But that's why I'm saying a prime Coach Rob. A prime Coach Rob. You know what I'm saying? We ain't talking about the Coach Rob that was on his way out the door. We're talking about that was pulling up in the Oldsmobiles. Y'all know what Graham fam, y'all know what I'm talking about. That was pulling up in the Oldsmobile. Someone said that's tough, Mario. It is. I don't know. That's why I'm taking the pulse. Someone says Dion that coaching style does work for these kids. They want to be players. Now that's interesting. So Bam brings up an interesting point because Bam talks about old school versus new school. As we know, kids have changed. The times have changed. Technology's changed. You know what I'm saying? Even football's changed. Like from the time Coach Rob was coaching, even at the end of Coach Rob's coaching career up until now. So everything has changed. And so Coach Prime has been coaching and he's watched this change as a coach. Coach Rob, even from the 60s to the 90s, things and technology in the world had changed, but football was pretty much the same. You get what I'm saying? Like football, but football and the people, the kids that played football were the same from the 60s to the 90s. They were the same. You know, coaches cuss at you, yell at you, whatever. They didn't have to deal with Twitter. They had to deal with YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. They had to Snapchat. They had to deal with all that stuff from the 60s to the 90s or from the 40s to the 90s, like when Coach Rob was coaching. But Coach Prime has come up in that. Coach Prime's kids have come up in that. So that is an interesting dynamic. That is very, very interesting. That is because, you know, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, he embraces all the cameras. He embraces all the glitz and glam. Now, somebody let me know, did Coach Rob embrace a lot of the glitz and glam? I seen the Oldsmobile commercials, but was he about the glitz and glam? Was he about a lot of this, you know, whatever the version of social media, well, no social media, but whatever, like the cameras and all the stuff, because he was the winningest coach in college football history. Like he's one of the winningest coaches in college football history. Let's see. You see, does Eddie still have his accomplishments? So you're talking about it on our make-believe system. I'm saying he's young, so yeah, let's give him his accomplishments. Why not? Hell, he accomplished them. Why not? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, let's give it to him if that changes your answer. It says, I say Dion still would out-recruit him if we're in the era. So recruiting is one thing. Recruiting is the lifeblood of college football. Like you got to get the players. But at the end of the day, it's about you know, the product on the field. Dion had better recruits than South Carolina State. Coach Prime probably had better recruits than even UL Monroe. But when Jackson State got on that field with South Carolina State, y'all saw what happened. Star rankings matter a little bit. But at the end of the day, you got to go out there and execute. Let me know, didn't Coach Prime and Jackson State have better stars on paper? They were better than South Carolina State. On paper, they had higher ranked recruits than South Carolina State. On paper, they had the cooler and more fun coach than South Carolina State. On paper, they had the more decorated quarterback than South Carolina State. On paper, they had a lot. And then we got to play on the field. A lot of things can look good on paper until we hit that field. And South Carolina State, Jablonski Green, you know, Shaq Davis, you know what I'm saying? These folks was hitting them in the mouth. And then things kind of look different. So let's see. It says most teams ran the ball prior to the forward pass. Yes, sir. Old school beats new school techniques. That's interesting. That is interesting. It says Eddie Robinson won with the wishbone, wing tee, and pro says Eddie is better. So that is something that's also, Stephen, you bring up an interesting point. A lot of people still don't believe in Coach Prime's X's and O's when it comes to coaching. A lot of people don't believe in his X's and O's and his adjustments when it comes to coaching. Now, whether that's a fair criticism or not, I don't know. But that is interesting because one thing we can't deny is that Coach Rob knew about his X's and O's. Coach Rob made adjustments. I've never seen a game with Coach Rob as the head coach. But I don't have to. You don't get 400 wins and last 57 seasons when coaches are getting fired at the drop of a dime, no matter what level, FBS, FCS, NIAA, Division I, Division II, Division III. Coaches are getting fired just like this. You don't stay for 57 years and win 17 SWAC titles, 9 or 10 black college national championships, send over 200 dudes to the NFL if you don't know your X's and O's. So I never ever see a game. I know Coach Rob knew his X's and O's and he could coach. Knowledge, wisdom, Coach Robinson. Okay, Terry says Coach Robinson says Eddie has the track record of getting NFL Hall of Famer recruits and winning championships. I have to go with the guy with the track record. Hey, Coach Prime, but Coach Prime is still a baby in this coaching game. So I can respect that answer, but don't sleep. Coach Prime is still a baby in this coaching game. It says a prime Coach Rob is too tough for kids today. That I could see that. I don't know Coach Rob. I don't know him. So, but I could definitely see that because any man that was coaching in the 40s and was still coaching in the 90s, you had to be a tough son of a gun to be doing that. Let's see, Eddie Robinson. He would take his players and beat you. He can take your players and still beat you. I can't compare a second-year coach to a legend. Hey, respect. I can respect it. Let's see, Coach Ron, he would be more Nick Saban. Hey, I can respect that. Coach Rob developed players. Deion can recruit. So I don't think this is a fair criticism. It says Deion can recruit, but he can't coach. I don't think you can come into a conference, go 8-0 in a conference, go 11-2 overall, and just say you can't coach. Now, is Coach Prime a play caller? No, he's not. But Coach Prime, let's not act like he don't got no resume behind him now. Now, albeit it was as a player, but Coach Prime is an NFL Hall of Famer. Coach Prime is a college football Hall of Famer. Coach Prime is a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Coach Prime is a we're not just gonna sleep on that. We're not just gonna act like that didn't happen. Like Coach Prime now, you know what I'm saying? Like that, so we ain't gonna do him like that. He's not a play caller. But Jackson State didn't go undefeated in the SWAC for no reason. Like they didn't win 11 games, the most wins in program history, by the way. 11 wins, the most in program history, by the way. They didn't do that by accident. If it was that easy, the last coach would have did it, or the coach before him, or the coach before him, or W.C. Gordon or somebody would have did it. So that's not easy. Let's not tweak and act like, you know what I'm saying? So I just want to say that. I'm going to get out of here, guys. I love you guys so much, man. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Once again, my name is Jeff Lights Jr. at the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. I stayed in here way longer than I thought I was. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button on your way out and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jeff Lights Jr., for all things HBCU football. All things HBCU football, specifically the SWAC. We're going to reach out and get with the MEAC. And we got some more things in store. So be sure to hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button because we got a lot of great things in store. Thank you guys for tuning in. And also be sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JLighty7, Instagram and Twitter at JLighty7. Thank you guys for tuning in. I love you all. See you next time. Peace.